And we're live.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Sunday night stream.
Today, I should have did some vocal exercises. It's JT Game TV here, being as naturally captained by El Chizo Reviews over there. I'm only along for the ride. Today, we're going to be talking about the goriest anime that we've seen to date.
Yeah, uh, so as far as we're going to start off with the one that everyone talks about, the one everyone likes to joke about. We're going to talk about Tokyo Ghoul just to get it out of the way.
I don't feel like taking the piss out of it, so yeah.
Yep. So Tokyo Ghoul. It was a successful anime a few years ago. It's maintained its popularity today. Um, there was some weird censorship choices, I feel, as far as the gore.
Mm.
Like they went with the television commercial route, where it's like they can do anything they want as long as it's blue. They just turned
Oh,
everything
yeah,
into a
yeah,
color
yeah.
negative.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
Like
That
they're
was
obviously uncensored.
sorry.
Go ahead.
That's definitely not the strangest censorship I've ever seen. Um,
Yep, and it can add to the intensity, although you can obviously find uncensored versions of it.
Obviously, yes, but it's increasingly difficult to find these uncensored versions. I don't know why I have so much trouble finding the uncensored versions of all the gory anime that I like to watch. I mean, it might be a sick obsession of mine to like watching people's innards fall out on
Become
the
outers.
floor. Yeah, I like that.
Uh, nah, man, it's just like we get a rush from it because we like it because we get a rush from it. We get a rush from it because we are quite literally afraid of that happening to us.
Yeah, I can't deny that would suck. Um, you want to give a brief synopsis on the show, or you just want to like talk about some of
Brief
the gory
synopsis.
points?
Brief synopsis. Kid likes girl. Girl turns out to be ghoul. Girl tries to eat him. Somehow he ends up half ghoul with this crazy chick possessing him.
I can tell you that. They both end up crushed under a set of steel I-beams, and they take her organs and put them inside him because she was already dead.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so he can't eat normal human food anymore.
He has to
Uh,
cannibalize.
he's a ghoul. Now, I want to preface this. A ghoul is not necessarily, in the traditional sense, a
You what?
creature that is not a non-human creature. A ghoul, in the traditional sense, is a human that digs up and eats the dead bodies of other people.
Yeah. Water.
So that's kind of important to note. That this is more or less, they're not so much ghouls in the traditional sense, they are a reimagining of the term.
Wouldn't the older or wouldn't the what's the word I'm looking for? The better equivalent be a zombie to a certain extent?
It is very much like a zombie, except without so much the infection aspect.
Right. They're just magically risen.
Yeah. Is that ever explained? I don't think I.
It generally is explained. You just got to go searching for the explanation as to why ghouls are the way they are.
Um, yeah, so they are not human creatures.
No. And okay, off topic. I really want to end Tokyo Ghoul. I won't lie. Um, top goriest scenes when Kaneki first gets his when first fights Nishio and you know just cuts him up with his Kagune, the world famous torture scene. when Hide is spilling his guts all over the floor. Those are the three biggest ones.
Yep. Then you've got the butcher scene where they tried to prepare Kaneki for consumption.
That's right. Oh yeah, God. Oh Jesus, I remember that.
Yeah. Uh,
Anything involving the gourmet.
yeah. Anything involving the gourmet. Uh, Pretty much any time Kaneki unzips his mask.
Yeah. Now that I think on it, a lot of the goriest parts of that show involved him unzipping his face. I call it his face because that's technically his secondary persona.
More or less. And that's really all I can think of as far as gore for that one. So let's move along into another very popular one that's actually, in my opinion, like it's not commented on enough these days. I think it's because it's been quite a few years since it's been out.
And I mean, people have taken the piss out of it when it was out, but not as much as Tokyo Ghoul.
We're going to talk about Elfen Lied.
Yes, I just so happened to. I needed that for a talking point, guys. I'm sorry. I had to show off a little bit.
Yep. So, brief synopsis. There are these creatures with invisible hands that have a certain range.
That vibrate with such an intensity that they're invisible and they grow out of their back.
And they are murder machines.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first couple of minutes into the first episode, it's just a wicked gore fest. People are losing limbs. She takes her hand and pushes this dude's heart out through his back. She places her hand on her chest, and there it goes, right behind him.
Yep. There's definitely, it's like, uh, there's definitely some really interesting character development, especially considering that one of them is essentially has about the mental capacity of a toddler, and the other one slightly more intelligent than that.
Mind you, they're both occupying the same body. That's also
Yeah,
attributed to the fact that she was shot in the head, the fucking 50 caliber trying to escape.
yeah, I believe that's what you call overkill or endangering the product.
Damaged goods.
Can't sell that. Uh,
It acts more like a tragic romance than an actual gore flick, though.
Yeah, so when you watch it, it's like the gore, if you're a gore fan, is definitely helps you along. But if you're watching it if you're a story fan, the gore may drive you off, but if you sit through it, it's definitely an interesting and compelling story.
Right. It's none of these films are really, or these animations are really for the weak of stomach.
Yep, of course, it's easier to tell yourself it's just a TV show if it's animated, so.
Yeah. But then again, I personally have never been the type to have to tell myself, hey, it's just a TV show.
Yep, that's actually how not the ESRB, before the rating system for movies, they would just have to say not recommended for
Oh,
X
that's right.
and they would have to say they would even have to put the warning in, telling people to close their eyes and say it's just a movie.
Wow. Must have been a while ago.
Yep. So nowadays with the rating system, they don't really have to do that. Although they used to use that as a selling point.
What, the rating system?
No. The close your eyes and tell yourself it's just a picture. It's just a movie.
Did not know that. I learned something new every day.
Yep. Because that would mean that for people who are interested in that kind of stuff, they would think, "Oh, this is going to be intense."
Right. And other people are just gonna be like, anyway,
Yep. So goriest moments, I would have to say,
the first episode
first episode for sure.
when oh shit, what's her name? I guess you call her New.
Yeah.
When New rips Nana's arms off and legs. Oh god, you watch the separation and everything, dude.
Hmm.
Like the skin stretch. It was wicked. All right.
Yep. And someone definitely wanted to sell that scene. The animators wanted to sell that scene hard.
Yeah, it gets to the point where I think it's a goddamn contest to see who can make the goriest anime.
Yeah, and that's not a bad contest to have. They're definitely pushing the envelope with censorship.
Yeah. That's saying the least of it, dude. That's putting it lightly.
A lot of these animes end up on the late night programming blocks for that reason. But here there are people who just have no time to sleep, so they watch them anyway.
Right. Or just don't care to sleep. You put
Yep,
up you end up putting up blackout curtains everywhere, shutting out all sunlight. You forget what time it is or what time of the day it is. Your internal clock just stops.
yep, and perhaps that contributes to like the lack of sleep, or rather, the erratic sleep schedule can contribute to one's interest in viscera.
Yeah, because I mean, the human race was a nocturnal species to begin with.
Did not know that.
Well, we were predatorial, you know? Yes, while we were hunters and gatherers, we were mostly predatorial. We, or I'm sorry, while we were gatherers, we were largely predatorial, and we would catch things. We discovered that the easiest way to catch animals would be during the nighttime while they are supposed to be asleep.
Makes sense. But yeah, as far as the Elfen Lied gore goes, how would you rate it in comparison to the one that we got out of the way?
Mm, I wouldn't rate it as heavy as Tokyo Ghoul, mainly because they focused more on story than anything, and Tokyo Ghoul had more episodes.
For
So
sure.
the first episode tops a lot of what Tokyo Ghoul put out there on the gore scale, but after that it kind of dwindled off and told a story, which I appreciate a little more than just inner battles with yourself about cannibalism.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. So it's like the quality of the anime was overall what sold it to you over the quality of the gore.
Yes, definitely.
All right, that's very understandable. Uh, I think um, I did find the animation style to be a little muted. Is the
Cheesy.
word I want to use?
I'm sorry?
Muted almost. It's the
Muted.
best word I can use. Like there wasn't like they definitely tried to portray this like semi sci-fi scenario in the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like the characters themselves, the faces, were just a little mushy.
Or maybe copy and paste, you know?
Yeah, that's probably the better way to describe it.
And if you notice in the last episode there was a scene that they just copy and pasted a few times where New uses her arms to push herself into the air across the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
They just straight took those scenes and copy and pasted because it
Yeah.
repeats a few times and I was like, "Wait, I just watched this scene." Not okay. This anime attempted to what's the word?
Not romanticize.
Yes, romanticize.
Oh,
Romanticize killing. Like, they gave killing a reason. Not to mention the opening theme, it's something I could see myself brutally murdering somebody to and, slow dancing with the corpse.
not that you would.
Not that I would, it's something I could see myself doing if I ever just went off the deep end.
Yep. It's definitely keyed towards that, and I think part of it is like it's supposed to be one of those. It's aiming for the whole psychological crowd.
Which it definitely succeeded in that aspect, if I may put that out there.
Yep.
It succeeded in I feel like psychological animes are meant to tell a good story, and that's what it did.
Yeah, a lot of like many psychological animes, it broke it down to what is good and evil, what is acceptable in what scenario.
Right. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. But I could take the piss out of Elfenlight all night
Yep.
because
Uh,
that's one of my top tens.
for sure, for sure. Uh, why don't we move on to another kind of popular one that is talked about a lot, but again, not so much in the modern era. Let's talk about Mirai Nikki, or Future Diary for those who watch the English version.
See, that was a whole lot of intensity for me personally. I mean, yeah, there were points in time where people got, uh, a hatchet to the stomach, let's say, or a dart to the eye.
Dude, I hate eye stuff.
Ah, so do I. That's why I say intense because it was all eye shit.
Yep. Oh, you're gonna hate the one that I just remembered when I bring it up.
Keep a mental note of it.
Yep. Um, it was a very good anime. I'm not gonna lie, but I think that's what kicked off the whole yandere thing. I don't know why people were so interested in yandere characters. It's like
Uh,
they romanticize them. It's like the girl is going to kill you.
Either going to kill you or sedate you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, just you
Kill
don't
you
want
or
that.
everybody around you.
Yeah. I did like the whole idea that diaries from the future were retracting back, like in the way that you would write it.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I like the idea of pitting of the whole killing game aspect with these future
A blood game,
diaries.
yeah,
Yeah, if you use them too much, people could find you and off you.
for sure. And it was always someone who was slightly mentally, they were just kind of
Yeah, their stability was a little lower than normal.
like one guy, and honestly, you probably remember him.
The baghead guy,
Yeah, I could see that becoming me if I ever went crazy.
the blind guy who just puts a bag on his head and screams henshin.
Yeah, he realizes it now. He's like he never thought about it before.
Oh shit.
He gets it now.
That's gonna take me a minute.
We'll give him a minute to catch his breath and then explain himself.
I can see it now, dude. You just putting on a really, really, really tight spandex onesie and putting on like a Kamen Rider helmet and just going to town, digging people's eyes out or some weird shit and just collecting them in a jar, much like toenail clippings.
People do that.
Yes, people collect their toenail clippings in jars. It's disgusting.
I prefer gore. Gore makes me gag less.
Just putting on your helmet, screaming out henshin, and beating the shit out of somebody. And then
Yeah,
finally, when they're lying on the ground, like, why? Screaming, it's for justice. Then try to
yeah.
run
I did
away
actually
to
like
him.
that guy's power.
It was pretty cool. I will give you that. Hi. Hi, Frank.
Uh, I felt like
Hey, Joel.
Hey, what's up, man? Um,
uh,
you're good. You're good.
I feel though like
Don't let me interrupt too much.
I would have liked to have seen the build up to when these other characters met the main characters. I know you have to keep it focused on the main characters, but
Step up.
Not to
Uh,
mention, how they would have interacted in these little alliances to go kill everybody else off. I mean, you just hear that they make these alliances, and then that's fucking it. That's all you get.
I feel like we would have gotten way more psychological drama leading to much better gore if we, or at least much more of it, if we saw what these other groups were doing.
Right.
So, yeah, I got.
I
And it
feel
ended.
like they really should have focused more on the interpersonal relationships instead of just when Yuki and Yuno were gonna fuck.
Yeah, it seemed like that was just. At the end of it, it wasn't even like, an awe moment. First of all, because she's crazy. Second of all, there was a lot of, yes, fuck already.
Yeah. I mean, it was even in her fucking diary that he was gonna nail her, so
Yeah, so.
the end
Also,
really petered off for me.
yeah, not to mention the whole shtick with like the three different universes.
That's why it petered off for me, dude.
That felt shoehorned in.
It was good up to a certain point. I feel like it was very anticlimactic. And yet somehow people go fucking buck wild over this anime.
It was like it was good up to a point, and then
Okay. I think after this stream I'm gonna find my fucking headphones. My Turtle Beach ones.
yeah. Uh, so moving on from Mirai Nikki, why don't we talk a little bit about Dead Man Wonderland?
Oh, fuck. The anime adaptation to that sucked for me.
Yeah, but it's like you mentioned eye stuff. I had to bring up the crow.
No, you didn't.
No,
Hi,
but I
Frank.
wanted to.
Are you interested?
I'm interesting.
I know this. At any rate, my other roommate, he likes to just peep on me, peeping Tom.
Yep.
Anyway, you didn't really have to bring up the crow, but
No, no.
since you did, I think I'm gonna let you. Think I'm gonna let you spill your guts on that.
Yeah.
No
So,
pun intended.
oh, that pun was intended. You know it. Uh,
Yeah.
okay. So, Dead Man Wonderland. There's a crisis involving a red man that kills everyone in this one kid's classroom except, the main character. He gets pinned with the murders. He gets sent to a privatized prison that's also serves as a theme park where the prisoners serve as workers and entertainment for everyone.
The entertainment being, hey, let's kill each other off.
Yep. And then there's a special kind of privatized entertainment for those who harbor special abilities, the ability to control their blood. And the character I refer to, known as the Crow, well, he was able to turn his blood into large blades.
He's one of the few people that were actually kind to the main character too. He's as kind
Yeah.
as you can be with
In a friggin' prison.
Yeah, in a prison system. I can fucking see you. Jesus.
Okay, well, they get their shit together. Now, of course, there's a thing with this particular system of privatized entertainment where the loser, if they don't die, has to have a body part removed. The first time we see this,
lost an eye.
They strapped him to a chair and removed his eye. The eye patch looked cool, though.
It did. Oh, God, imagine if he had to lose both eyes. Poor sorry son of a bitch.
Yep. So,
gore rating, is fairly up there. Once again, I think it matches Tokyo Ghoul's level of gore in the short 12 episodes that it served.
Definitely.
But
I definitely liked just not so much the characters, because we didn't get to see enough of them to really form a connection.
Well, there was only 12 episodes. If you read all the chapters of the manga, you would have done a little better.
Yeah, but as far as an anime, it's like if the gore isn't like dripping down the walls, it loses part of the effect anyway.
Like, you got to see organs splattered on the walls, and like, I'm not talking like chunks of organs. I'm talking whole organs, just intestines hanging from the fucking ceiling rafters and all that.
I really
like
hope that there's no government no government groups tuning in on this.
You picked goriest animes, man. You picked it.
I know.
Your bed. You have to lie in it.
Ugh, but it's all sticky now.
Well, don't blow a nut.
There's dead people in. I'm talking about the blood.
I could see you shooting off to gore porn.
Yeah.
Justin,
I don't know
relax.
where you get. Anyway.
I do a whole lot better with caffeine, and I apologize, guys, but I'm completely decaffeinated. So with the loss of caffeine, there's also a loss of filter.
Yep.
I mean, my filter was tasty as shit to begin with, but just get sludged now.
So, gore factor on that was pretty good.
Story-wise, they focused too much on the gore for me, and then just left out the story.
That's an important thing to note.
Sorry.
That's an important thing to note, is that there needs to be a balance between gore and storyline. Otherwise, it just becomes too much of one, not enough of the other.
Right, and I mean, the only thing that really the only anime that we've talked about thus far that does a good job of balancing both would have been Elfen Lied.
Yeah, you see, there's a range here. It's a spectrum of gore to it's more like a Venn diagram of gore to story, and some of them fall within that weird range in the middle, but
not often do you get that. How about we move on to Blood C?
Yeah, let's move on to Blood C, Blood Plus, and it's a associated series.
I mean, starting with Blood C. Sorry.
Yeah, Blood C.
It's made by Clamp, who made the same people, or who made the same people, who are the same people who made Holic and Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles.
Both very good.
Yes. But the anime adaptation wasn't that great. Once more, we get into the range where, with Blood C, where there's too much gore, not enough story.
Yeah, quick synopsis, vampires. and a synopsis.
Vampires killing monsters. Correction.
Yep, and you got to use vampire blood to kill them.
Yeah. Well,
So, what do you think our main character is, ladies and gentlemen?
I don't know, a werewolf.
Good guess. Anyway, she gets this weird sword designed for her to poke herself on, so that there's a channel that her blood drains into, so that she can stab them. They crystallize. They die.
Well, you're right, but let's avoid how her weapon works and just go straight into the gore of things.
Yep. A lot of it is crystallization, which to me kills it just a little.
Yeah, but when it comes to the actual like humanoid characters dying, it's pretty gruesome. Like this gigantic dog with hands for ears picks up this one chick by her legs and just there goes everything that was contained in her stomach.
Yep. They tried a little too hard to be edgy, and in that case, they made the characters too one-dimensional, I think.
Yeah, I actually did just tune out of that anime because the character development was too boring.
Not enough of an arc.
Oh, I have crush on Guy. Oh, you can
Yep.
tell we're gonna die with the
Yep.
twins.
Oh, look, sister is my arch enemy.
Yeah. It's just they spent too much time being, you're right, edgy with the gore and not enough time on the storyline. And it could have been great.
It really had the potential, but
I'm sure the manga was fantastic though. That's the thing.
yeah, that's the issue with making anime into manga. Anime, for the most part, if it's an adaptation of a manga or a game, the anime is only meant to serve as an advertisement for the source material.
Phantasy Star
So the
Online
source material is
2.
always. Yep, so the source material is always going to be better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, always. Not always, honestly. Sometimes the source material or the anime is just as good as the source material. Or at least a step
I guess
down.
that's fair. But it's like, it's hard to find those, so you're better off hunting up original anime. If you want an anime that like stands well on its own merits, of course, then there are other ones that stand really good, despite being, advertised as source material, blah blah blah. Point is, gore. In this case, you have to animate it to get any kind of effect from it, but then the story suffers if you're not careful.
Right. Now, Blood Plus was something. Blood Plus on the what would you call that? On the offside or on the other side of the coin of Blood C was actually one of the better ones because like it had 50 plus episodes.
It was a full season.
Yeah, it had 50 plus episodes to explain storyline, give character development, sprinkle the gore into the mix.
Yep, spice things up a little bit. Put some
Right,
con
and
carne in that chili.
actually, if you're interested, I have a little bit of tidbit about Blood Plus.
Go ahead, man.
The first episode was actually featured as a special feature on 30 Days of Night for DVD.
I think I actually heard about that.
I used to own a copy of 30 Days of Night. So that's how I got introduced.
Yeah, I guess that. Okay, I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to get a copy of this because that'd be kind of cool to have like the first episode of Blood Plus on another horror movie. I think that'd be a cool way to own it.
Yeah, it's got to be specific. This was a special edition copy of 30 Days of Night. It came with a beanie and all that.
Oh.
Yeah, much like when you buy the box set for Requiem. Oh, that's another good one. Requiem for the Phantom. You get a bullet necklace. At least with the season 2 box set to say, hey, you went out and bought season 1 and now you're buying season 2. Here's a little present for you. Anyway.
Yeah, that's how you earn. That's how you earn customer loyalty. Anyway, so I feel like Blood Plus did do a better job of getting its point across. It was there were points in it where I got a little bored, but they picked up again really quickly soon thereafter.
Right, well, it was a 50 episode anime. What do you expect? You know, there are going to be points where it's just filler,
or just a lull. Because sometimes there has to be, for the sake of you can't be up all the time. Otherwise, people then just get exhausted watching.
Right. Much like how do you think Naruto and Bleach succeeded for 500 and 300 something episodes?
They take it up, and then there's some filler.
Mm-hmm. So not only do you have to worry about the Venn diagram matching gore with story, but you also have to worry about the giving the character or the viewers a roller coaster ride throughout the story.
Yeah, it's a weird dance.
It's more like a gyroscope.
It very much is. Moving on, why don't we talk a little bit, or just touch on really quick about the next one on our list, which was...
Oh, that could be a toss-up between a couple of different things. I know I wanted to mention the Castlevania series. There was also Berserk.
And
another. Okay, that one wasn't really too much on the gore on the gore scale
factor.
if you were on the gore factor if you were reading the manga, because the manga actually was shorter than the anime by a couple of episodes.
But they had the budget for a few more episodes, so they thought, okay, let's use it.
Right. I'm not going to tell you which episodes actually did not happen in the anime. Well, I'll tell you, Chaz, after stream, but viewers, you'll have to figure that out for yourself.
Yep. Now, if you want stuff that'll make you cringe a little bit as far as gore goes and, deaths happening, you will never look at an umbrella the same way again, I swear. No, yeah, he knows what's up.
Or a boat propeller.
And what I love is, it's not a murderer doing these things. It's literally, someone has to die.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. It's I won't say who has to die, but the whole synopsis of the story is someone has to die, and until they die, everyone else is going to die, just by happenstance.
Right. Sorry about that, guys. We almost caught you on a spoiler. We've been doing good about those.
Yep, so...
Okay, I don't think it would matter that much. Think of, making an anime adaptation of Final Destination.
Yeah, it is like that, I guess. And you would think... I forget, when they left the town, were they safe or weren't they while they were outside?
They weren't.
They weren't. That's right.
Propeller.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's when the boat propeller happened. And then there was the hike on the mountain where someone got struck by lightning.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, people rarely die from getting struck by lightning.
So that guy had the most unlucky...
He happened to be in that classroom. That was his bad luck.
Mm-hmm. That was his only crime.
Yep. And that's, I think, what makes the gore so much more intense. Is when you know that there is no malice behind it. There's no intent behind it. It just... Yep, it's literally just, it happened. That can really scare a person. That makes gore more intense. Makes for a better viewing experience.
And by God, they definitely did a great job on another. Balancing everything as well.
Oh, yeah. I was sitting there, and it had me locked in. I had to watch it with the buddy system because it was the first time I ever watched a horror anime.
Mm-hmm.
But sitting through it, I couldn't not watch it. I had to, ask my friend over every other couple of days. Just like, we need to watch a few more episodes, dude. We're almost done.
Dude, I sat there and binged all 12 episodes.
Yeah, it's a great anime. I recommend it for any horror fan.
Right, like it
Go
had me
watch
with
it.
the screen buried this close to my nose and shit, trying to just get everything on the screen.
Oh yeah. Uh, so also, I love the mannequin art.
The mannequin?
The mannequin art,
Oh yeah. No, they did really good on that. Honestly, the mannequin art was a little more detailed than the actual character art.
which I think is appropriate because it served more as a background piece,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely cast into it just cast the tone for the show that nothing is really right about anything that's happening.
Right. And it made things a little more distorted, especially after what the hell's her name? The eye patch chick.
Yeah, she took her eye patch off and revealed that she's missing an eye, but she's
Spoiler, dude.
well any that's the purpose of an eye patch.
Right, but okay, as long as you don't.
All I'm saying is like it's connected to the mannequin art.
After
And
her after her little conversation about mannequin art having or dolls having the ability to steal souls, it really definitely set a precedent for the rest of the anime.
yeah, it definitely set you on the edge of your seat, wondering who and how and uh, when.
Yeah, definitely on the who point of things though.
Yeah, you were always guessing right up until the end, and no spoilers. You're not going to see it coming. Uh,
Dude, it was seeing that coming is like guessing a cum shot.
anyway, so
Sorry. Jeez.
I think also of it was kind of a curve, an upward curve,
Yeah, definitely. Like
and that
after you get the character introductions, it was more like a little exponential curve, not just a little gradual up climb. It was just like
yep, and so that really you don't see horror like that anymore.
no, and it'd be
It goes
nice
from
if you
here to
could.
here. Either goes from here to here, or it just goes up like that. And this is good. This is a watchable horror, but
But you want
you
something
know,
like that.
you
You
want
want it.
something where it's
Sorry.
uh, get your thoughts together. I'll just explain this real quick. You want something where it hits the point of escalation close to the beginning, but it's not shooting right up, and you just want to ride that curve.
Okay, okay. It's much like you want to take it gradual, like from the drop in of the top at the top of a quarter pipe, and then take the other quarter pipe.
Good explanation. I don't skate, but good explanation.
I used to skate. I'm sorry. That's the best way that I can equate things. Is like the character introduction would be that first drop in. You get a little bit of backstory. It floats up, and then to take that next quarter pipe to take your trick would be right around the climax where it launches you up. The resolution being the trick.
Yep. And then this is where it gets really tricky because once you reach that point of escalation, you can either leave it there, which works if you want a cliffhanger, if you intend to set something off, or you have to bring it right back down as quickly as possible without just dead dropping.
Right. Like the best trick associated with that would probably be like an invert, or I'm sorry, a hand plant. When you hit the top of the ramp, you just grab onto the ledge and stand upside down on the one hand. Now you can either quit the trick right there, remove the skateboard, and just roll over onto your back, cliffhanger, or you
Yep.
can de-escalate and keep skating with that, you know, that 13th episode that's set X amount of years in the future, or X amount of years
Kind of
after the
like
happening.
the 13th episode of High School of the Dead.
Yes, exactly.
You don't need it, but it's there.
Right.
It definitely brings you down.
Like you found out what happens. It's not like you really need that extra hey, everybody's chill now episode.
But it does bring a sense of closure to the viewer.
Right. Instead of just hey, this is what happened, time to go. Much like with Higurashi, you get like 6 different stories, but none of them have an actual closure point to them.
Good segue.
Thank you. Higurashi no Naku Koro ni translates out to when the cicadas cry or something to that effect.
Yep.
You get 6 different stories that revolve all around the same 6 or 8 characters.
Brief little thing about this. It is an anime adaptation of I guess you could call it a dating sim, but it only
Manga.
focuses on the manga. But it only focuses. I guess it was only focusing on the bad endings.
Yeah.
Or what?
It was a dating sim that got a manga adaptation that got an anime adaptation. And usually when you filter it that many times, it turns into shit. But not in this case.
Yeah, because they were using. This was actually probably I think the first time when the stretching of the facial features to make them more intense was used in animation to portray real crazy, unstable people.
One of the first times I can't. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But honestly, that's become like the mainstream now. Thanks to
Yeah,
Higurashi, the sorry.
you were explaining it.
Thanks to Higurashi, the distortion and stretching of key features, much like eyes and grins, are used to display points of like breaking of sanity, straight,
Intense
uh,
anger,
yeah, intense anger, um,
fear.
the reveal of a person's true inner negative feelings, fear, just
We see
things.
a little of we see a little of that in Overlord actually.
Overlord.
The yandere angel turban
Uh,
after the main.
that's not an angel at all.
She's designed to look like one. We'll leave it like that.
She's a demon. There's so
Yeah,
much hentai, and she took a lot of bones, man. About 206.
so like the way when she receives the teleportation ring from Ainz, good example of the stretching of facial features to portray
Hmm. And that was his fault.
that was his own fault. Um,
No
but yeah,
spoilers there.
yeah, but that happens very early on in the anime. It's not a big deal. It's just like setup. But anyway, uh, Higurashi, Higurashi. So it's gotten to the point where it's lauded as probably the most famous gore anime out there.
Disappointingly so. It's up there. It's up there next to Berserk.
Yeah,
In
um,
fame, not so much in
insane.
gore.
Yeah.
Because God, Berserk
So
takes the cake on that.
yeah, and we'll end with Berserk, but for Higurashi, just know Japanese axes looking like swords was not a good design choice.
Yeah, no, it looked more like a fucking butcher knife.
But the reason they do that is because it's harder to miss.
With a gigantic butcher knife. Yeah, you're right. But problem is, you can't exactly like bring your hand up and then
Yeah, you lose leverage, but you gain accuracy.
it's a 50-50. It looked like more like a gigantic machete anyway.
Yeah. They call those yard axes, I think.
That's a cool name.
So, yeah. Design choice makes it a little, especially in Japan where there's a sword ban, when you have axes that look like that.
There's a sword band now?
There's been a sword ban for years.
Oh.
You can't own swords or guns.
Not stopping anybody, but
It happens for sure, but like it is technically illegal to own a real sword. So you can own a replica, like it can be blunted.
yeah.
You can't own a sword. They define a sword as a long, sharp blade above a certain length.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure that made
having,
all the royal families happy.
yeah, and of course, you know, especially in the modern era, when you have axes that look like that, it kind of. Well, I'm not going to question the legal system of another country, but I gotta say, banning
Dude,
swords is
there's a
not
law
going.
in Ohio. Sorry.
All I was gonna say is like banning swords is not going to stop people from using blades against each other.
Right. There's speaking of questionable laws, there's a law in Ohio that bans whaling on Sundays, as in hunting whales.
Okay, for the middle of the friggin' country where there's no whales, I can see why that would make sense.
Precisely. I mean, what?
Anywho, before we get political, just Higurashi, good anime. Just
Pretty up there on the gore scale.
pretty up there on the gore scale. It had a lot of it set a lot of standards for gore.
Oh yeah. I think it would
Especially,
probably top out Tokyo Ghoul just for it setting the standards.
absolutely. Moving on, we're going to tie up the anime segment of this with Berserk. Now, anyone who watches shonen or seinen anime knows of Guts.
He's as his namesake applies, he spills quite a bit.
Yep, he's your typical I carry a big sword and I'm super strong, look at me kind of character, but he does have like a lot of character development. You see,
Right. You can see where he's coming from with a lot of the stuff that he has to deal with. I mean, I'm gonna unplug you real quick so that I can hunt for my other headphones and still speak.
yep, he's definitely more than one-dimensional, as a lot of people would expect a character like that to be.
I mean, dude, he watched his whole team get ripped apart by a gigantic, I don't know what the fuck that was.
For sure. I mean, like, he definitely dealt with trauma better than some other characters in other anime, like Mikazuki from Iron Blooded Orphans. I love Gundam, but when you make the character that kind of one-dimensional, you kill some of the impact. You kill a little bit of the impact. In Guts' case, he turned out great. The way he wields his sword doesn't make any logical sense, but that doesn't matter.
Haha.
Ahaha.
Just to catch on towards the end of the stream. Or towards the middle of the stream, really. This feels like it's about to be like a 2-hour stream.
Oh, I can't do 2 hours. Hour and a half,
Dude, it's
maybe.
like 9:30.
Yeah, we started at like 8:30.
Yeah. But I mean, like the route we're going, it might end up being like a 2-hour stream. We've got a lot
Could
of
be.
source material. Just saying, we have a lot of source material to cover. It's getting to the point now where I want to go have a cigarette while we talk. So that's why I had to find my headphones. And you know we've been on stream for a minute.
Yep. So the ending, I think, of Berserk definitely pushed the possibilities for gore way through the roof.
Definitely. Now, don't spoil it for me because I haven't seen that much of Berserk.
Yep. It's to describe the animation style is difficult for me. I don't know how I would.
It's got its own,
It,
dude. It set its
the
own precedent.
fluidity of movement is very much like Queen Sagas, but the way characters are drawn. This is gonna sound weird. It reminds me of like a less goofy version of JoJo.
I could see it. You know, with all the the accentuated features and whatnot. The lines
Yep,
definitely
everything's
defining brow line and whatnot.
absolutely. You see where I'm coming from.
Yeah. But animes with that design, they throw me off. On the gore scale, it definitely tops everything on this list.
Yep, and I think the intensity of the detail actually contributed to the gore because then the gore fit the scenario.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. If you think,
But
if
then
you
it
guys,
became a thing of.
sorry,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you guys think there's anything that we missed, feel free to leave it in our Twitter or on a comment on the video. I think I'd get that out there.
Yep.
Just figured I'd get that out there just in case, you know.
Yep. Now, of course, the thing with Berserk is that it's one of those animes where the gore becomes commonplace.
Yeah, you get completely desensitized. It no longer carries any sort of shock factor.
And more or less, it's just kind of used as a measuring stick.
Right. Actually, before we close out the anime section, I would like to put out there the Castlevania bit.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so everybody who follows, everybody who follows the Castlevania storyline, there is an anime adaptation on Netflix. I'm only going to put out there that it is fairly gory for only having 4 episodes right now. But, like, I mean,
We got chain whip action?
Dude, you get a whip. Okay, Trevor Belmont straight cracks his whip across this one dude's face and pulls out a fucking eyeball. I mean, they don't censor anything in this anime. It is completely uncensored.
Okay, I gotta watch this.
Yeah, there's entrails hanging from every fucking building you could think of. There's people fishing corpses down from buildings that are just split in half and their entrails are hanging out. Trevor cuts off a few limbs. You see everything. You just see a lot, dude. It's just like, what the fuck? Usually, but it's not like it's heavily focused on the gore either. It's just for the action sequences. Which, trust and believe me, there's a lot of action sequences.
So it's tastefully balanced, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll give a brief description, or I'll give like a brief, I'll equate it to something right quick. All right. What I'm catching right now is like a mixture of the whole Devil May Cry hunts demons and monsters and whatnot with like a bounty hunter styled anime. Or rather,
that makes sense.
Not bounty hunter. It crosses Devil May Cry with what was that? Rage of Bahamut almost, save for the whole capturing monsters thing. What I'm
Does he
trying to
still
say
break?
is sorry.
Go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is it sticks very true to the game. The only I'm not going to spoil that for you. Never mind. I'll put it this way. So far they've used every major character.
Alrighty. So does he still crack? Does he still whip candles down to get power-ups?
Not quite. I haven't seen anything power-up wise from him yet. It's
But he
only
is
got
going
4
to slay
episodes.
Dracula.
Yes, yes.
That's about like I think that's a safe range of the story that we can tell. Is that what the end goal is?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the end goal, but they made that's a spoiler too. Fuck me running. Okay. They used the main character from Symphony of the Night, and they also used Trevor. I'm using the name of the game for the other main characters so that you can at least like catch a hint. Uh, okay, they used Trevor Belmont from the first game, and Alucard shows up. But there's another character that's not even directly involved in the story that I'm not going to really spoil for you either. So
Okie
far,
doke.
what I've seen, I'm pretty much on edge for the next couple of episodes.
Okay, you're making me want to watch this. I'm gonna have to set aside some time tomorrow.
Yeah, binge it, dude. Binge it and tell me what you think. It's only got 4 episodes, and they're about the standard length for an anime.
Okay, so like
But
25, 30 minutes.
just about, but there's only 4 episodes per season, which kind of bugs me.
Well, is this a Netflix original series?
Yeah,
Makes sense.
it's a Netflix
They've
original.
got weird. They've got weird
Seasoning?
standards.
Yeah. But I thought it was an excellent freaking for only having 4 episodes out.
All right,
Drink my pH
I'm gonna have
balanced
to
water.
check it out.
Please do. Okay, moving
So why
on
don't
to
we move on to the?
the same track mind. Go ahead.
So we're gonna move on from anime into the world of live action, into good old-fashioned splatterhouse flicks, the older ones, not the newer ones.
Yes, please. Anything but the old or the newer ones, because like the newer ones, they focus way too much on the gore. Like they take
Yep.
Splatterhouse to a new level, but the only thing is they use stupid bimbos for the main characters.
Yep. It's not like okay. So JT, I'm gonna give you a Netflix recommendation that I think will help you find a lot of good old school horror films.
Okay?
Go on Netflix and look up Mad Ron's Previews from Hell, and that's preview spelled Prevues.
Okay. Is that actually on Netflix though? That's the thing. They
It's actually
shuffle.
on Netflix. It's always on there.
Okay, so it's not being taken off by their wonky ass fucking shuffle system.
No, it's one of those uh, horror preview compilations, like when you're sitting in the movie theater and you see the previews for other movies.
Okay.
It's just a compilation of that with little stupid jokes in between.
How far back are we going?
This goes back to like to the 90s ish.
Okay, if we're covering stuff from the 90s, I think I'll be okay.
Of course, we can always talk about the one that everyone thinks of when they think of Splatterhouse. We're going to talk really briefly about Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Not the remake. Sorry, not the remake.
Not the remake. Now, obviously, when they say it's based on a true story, the events didn't actually happen that way.
No, it's
They
based
were
off of
inspired, essentially, by a true story.
It was actually inspired by the murders of Ed Gein. Sorry about the rattle. I'm trying
Yeah.
to fix the footrest.
Who claims he killed 2 people, and that the rest of his collection, we'll call it, was actually grave robbing.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that, honestly, because the skin from the nipples on his belt looked fairly fresh.
So anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, main villain, well, we say villain, mentally challenged, is a mentally challenged man that we call Leatherface, because he has a habit of wearing masks that he makes from people.
He took the term Facebook a little too literally.
We've all seen that meme.
Anyway, the design that you see for the most part from Leatherface is from the newer flicks, like when you're playing Mortal Kombat 10, sorry. You're going to see a lot of just newer Leatherface. But in actual reality, the first Leatherface sported a cowboy hat, I do believe.
Outside, he did.
Yeah. Which
he did wear like the apron and the leather mask, but
right, but on the outside or on the movie cover, you see him with a leather hat or a cowboy hat.
yep. Now he's one of those like this movie kind of pokes fun at rednecks. I'm not gonna lie. They've got someone in their family mentally challenged. They don't know how to deal with it, so they indulge his habits and lock him up.
Yeah, you always, when you're reaching the dark sense of humor of things, when it comes to the mentally handicapped, you usually hear about the parents locking them up and feeding them through a grate in the door. That's where that came from.
Yeah. So this movie it's Jesus. That was a bright little lighter there. Oh, I see. It's glare. Okay.
Anyway,
so
aside from setting the precedent for most Splatterhouse flicks that you're going to see today, it also set the precedent for a whole lot of bad jokes about the mentally challenged.
yeah, so it's kind of a gain ground, lose ground kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
2 steps forward to take 1 step back and all that.
Yep. But if you have to give it anything, it created an iconic horror character that's used as the icon of one of the icons of horror today. He's right up there with Jason Voorhees. He's right up there with friggin' Freddy Krueger.
Shit, who's the other guy? Michael Myers.
Michael
The
Myers.
strong, silent, I'm gonna cut you up, and even if you hit me, I'm not gonna say shit. I'm gonna brush it off.
Wears a mask.
Basically, he can take 6 shots to the chest and call it a flesh wound.
Which actually is a good segue. See, because while Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a good standalone movie, we got a weird thing going with the Friday the 13th series. First one was good. Second one was good. Third one was also kind of good, but then they really started milking it.
Jason in space.
Who needs a cyborg? Okay, there's a comic book where they reconstruct the original Jason and the cyborg Jason because nanobots, and the 2 Jasons meet each other.
Ain't that the explanation for everything? Because nanobots? I mean, not to segue away from... Not to segue away, or not to, like, drive the point away. Yeah. Look at, Metal Gear Solid. Everything in Metal Gear Solid was explained by nanomachines.
It's
Just
kind of dumb.
Just thought I'd put that out there. Anyway, back to Jason attacking Cyborg Jason.
Yeah, it's this weird thing. Cyborg Jason keeps hearing voices. Regular Jason keeps hearing it, seeing images, and they keep trying to kill each other in this comic book. And people keep getting in between them by accident, so they die. There's a lot of good gore in that comic, by the way.
I'm sorry if I see a big old hulking dude with a machete and a fucking goalie mask. I think I'm gonna just stand aside and let him through.
Yeah, what's weird though is they ended up switching machetes.
That's awkward.
Yeah, organic Jason just kind of picked up Cyborg Jason's machete because that's what he was regenerated from.
Mm-hmm.
I think, or they found some of his remains, and then Cyborg Jason just happened to be carrying around the original Jason's machete.
Now, that being said, while we're focusing on Jason, I feel like this next movie in the Jason series is going to be a good segue to lead into another Splatterhouse flick. Freddy versus Jason.
Ah, yes, because Freddy wanted a puppet to control. He decided he would pick Jason. Big mistake.
Mm-hmm. For one, I feel like it was a good idea. It was a good. You know how they had the whole. It was a good answer to Monster Mash. You know, you pit one monster against the other, see who wins. In which case, they did this with slasher flicks, and it was a really good battle. But I can't remember who came out on top with that one.
Pretty sure.
I'm drawing a blank here too.
Angel just told me it was Jason.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that.
She's pretty sure. Don't quote her on that, but it wouldn't
This is gonna
surprise
be
me
one of those things
because.
where
Sorry?
this is going to be one of those things where no one remembers who won.
Right. I mean, it would be the logical thing if Jason won because because Freddy was trying to use him as a puppet. And besides, I'm pretty sure the people who made Freddy versus Jason uh had a hand in the other Jason movies anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. Although you have to think that Wes Craven had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Freddy was reduced to a severed head, which could only wink suggestively at the camera.
Oh, Jason was carrying Freddy's severed head who winked at the camera.
So, okay, so Jason technically won.
He won the battle, but Freddy's, I feel like, is going to end up winning the war.
You can't. Freddy's another one of those characters. It's like there's no real way to kill him.
You just send him back to hell.
Yeah,
All
of course.
you do.
Leading into the Friday the 13th, or not the Friday, from the Friday the 13th into Nightmare on Elm Street series.
I've only seen a couple of movies from that series, and one of them being Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Which is actually it does play a lot with the lore
sorry?
because it actually.
We'll have to pick that up.
What I
I'll
love
watch
about
that.
that movie, is the actors are playing themselves.
Really?
Yeah, all the people you see in that movie, those are
Mhm.
their real names. Wes Craven was the guy who was actually writing the Friday the 13th movie, not the
The Nightmare on
Elm Street movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all those actors are actually playing themselves.
That's fucking cool. I never
And
actually
essentially,
watched
it's like,
the end credits.
yeah, how it worked was like,
Nightmare on here too.
how it worked was like this was the team that made the original Nightmare movies.
What?
And so they acknowledge that these movies exist, and they're wondering whether or not they're going to do another.
That one.
Okay. Sorry about that. She's telling me that we have to watch Nightmare on Elm Street later, and which ones they have.
Yep. So, like I said, these are the actors are playing themselves, the entire team that worked on the original Nightmare series.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and the
fuck
whole
yeah.
idea is that, Freddy isn't Freddy. Freddy is the name and the shape they gave this force that keeps coming back.
Oh, he's a thought form.
Essentially, yeah. And so in New Nightmare, Wes Craven says about how like the only way he could stop this thought form was by creating a story so good, so intriguing that it captured this thought form as Freddy. But as time goes on, the story gets watered down, it gets retold too many times, it gets changed, and that sets him free to come into the real world.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. In retrospect, watching New Nightmare, that makes everything just kind of clicked into place. Why there's so many different versions of Freddy.
Exactly. He's working his way back to becoming that thought form.
Now, I'm going to launch this in a complete different direction, or onto a
Okey-doke.
complete new movie. But have you seen anything from the Hellraiser series?
I despise the Hellraiser series.
No, okay, I can get why, because a lot of them were complete shit.
Remember the part I was making fun of, Dave?
Yes, I do.
When they were buried alive and all he says is, "Are you okay?" But I'm just like, dude.
See my point? They're buried alive, and dude screams out, or dude on top screams out, "Are you okay?" And that's,
That's the part we made
Okay,
made
no,
fun of.
that's not my major issue. That's not my major issue. I can forgive goofiness
Like,
or
no,
like unintentional goofiness, but the friggin'
obviously not okay.
okay.
But what the fuck
Those who know me personally know this very well. I cannot stand that in over 9 movies they never explain why they spent all that time in the first movie building up that old man and he just turns into a bone dragon, flies off, no explanation, with the friggin' interdimensional Rubik's Cube of death.
I can explain why that wasn't explained, though. The Hellraiser series passed through a whole lot of different hands. And none of them really paid attention to what actually happened in the first movie. They just said, "Oh, we're gonna build a Hellraiser movie and try to make it as fucking gory as possible." The last Hellraiser movie in the series only lasted an hour because it was the first half of it was found footage.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah, but the first couple of movies, the first 2 or 3 were actually fairly okay.
Yeah,
As soon
it's
as they
just
changed actors, that's about the point where you got to tell the movie to fuck off. Like changing actors for the main character or for the
yeah,
main villain, the antagonist.
and not to mention it's like they got rid of the box entirely and then just decided, okay, Pinhead's gonna be part of a statue.
Right. Like I said, a lot of directors swapped with that.
I'm not even gonna touch Revelations. I sat through too many movies trying to find out why the old man turned into a bone dragon.
There's no good reason for it, dude. There's no explanation for it.
That was the only reason I kept watching, though. It's like they gotta explain it. They gotta explain it.
It's just one of his superpowers, I guess.
But the gore in the first movie, we'll use the first movie as a standalone.
Yeah, we'll just call the first movie a standalone and forget about the rest.
Or was good.
The
I liked
storyline made had some semblance of
Sanity.
compilation to it. You know, it felt very. It felt like it made sense. That's the best way I'm gonna put it.
The way I could say is like it felt like it made sense at one point.
Right, but like you said, up until the point of where dude turns in, of where Pinhead. I think it was Pinhead. His name's Pinhead.
The guy with the pins in his head, yes.
Yes. Anyway, up until the point where he turns into Bone Dragon, it's just kind of like,
Well, Pinhead doesn't turn into the Bone Dragon. It's just the weird old hobo.
the weird old. Oh, fuck me. I gotta rewatch that movie because I can't remember who turned into what. Anyway,
Not yet. It's it's just this random old hobo that they build up throughout the whole movie. We see him turn into the Bone Dragon at the end and fly off and grab the Rubik's Cube out of the fire and fly off.
that hobo shows up in the found footage movie to give those kids that Rubik's Cube
Yep.
in Mexico, where one of these douchebag teenagers had sex with a hooker and killed her.
You know, planning is important in a horror movie. If you're gonna make a splatterhouse film, make a splatterhouse film. But give us a splatterhouse film that makes sense.
Right. Oh, that being said, with the Hellraiser film, let's just move on.
Yeah, let's move away from that. I will say though, I like the idea of blood making a person live.
I'm sorry,
Not in the sense you think.
you
Uncle
cut out.
Frank.
Oh,
I liked that. I liked how he was reanimated.
yeah. Like certain characters that don't deserve to die get their reincarnation.
So
I feel like we should probably cut out soon because I know you have work tomorrow and it's like 10 o'clock.
yeah, I got like a half hour before I have to hit the sack. So we'll just wrap this up really quick with another Splatterhouse film that I personally really like.
Okay.
Now, I want to preface this by saying that there's nothing wrong with liking Splatterhouse films. It's a form of stimulus in a world where everything seems to be so friggin' boring.
I can show you some stimulus, bro. I'll
But-
deliver you my stimulus package.
But funny. But I love cheesy horror that tries to be cheesy, making it a comedy.
Okay.
It would be called Stitches. What's it about? Well, it's about it's a really weird misrepresentation. I want to preface that right now. It is a misrepresentation of the Union of Clowns. Yes,
What?
it's a worker. Clowns have a workers' union.
Okay, I get that.
Now, this is important for the sake of the film. It's like when you join that union, they have you essentially trademark the way you paint your face by painting that on the shell of a blown-out egg, and then they store that in a museum. And then no one else in the union can use that particular face paint style.
Mhm.
In this, it's kind of the same thing. He had to paint the egg when he became a clown. He lives in a trailer on a cliff. Then he realized he has to go to this kid's birthday party. None of the kids are giving him nothing but shit.
He's a clown.
And he ends up tripping. Yep. And then in the kitchen he trips, and the dishwasher's open. A knife is sticking up out of the utensil drawer. I'm not going to go further because you dislike eye stuff.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can see where you're going with that. Oh.
Anyway,
Ah.
main character's traumatized. He's now terrified of clowns. They figure out that his 18th birthday party's coming up, so everyone just crashes the party at his house. When he went to the grave where Stitches was buried, he saw a bunch of clowns in a tower saying the clown has to finish the show, but the joke's never as funny the second time around, meaning, well, guess what? Zombie clown. And he goes back, ironically murdering the kids in similar fashions to how they teased him.
Oh, Jesus.
This is a perfectly good example. This one kid catches this one kid outside, and you know those air pumps that you use for making balloon animals?
Yeah. What
He shoves that
orifice
into the
did
back
that?
of the kid's skull and continues to.
Oh, I thought I was going in an orifice. Okay.
No. It went into the back of the skull, and the skull inflated. You see the eyes bulge out. His head gets all big. He's trying to push his head back together, and then pop.
Oh,
By the way, they put bloopers of this stuff at the end of the movie during the credits. It's hilarious to watch them interact that way because the kid has to wear all that on his head, and he's like, "This is fucking hot. Can we stop soon?"
Oh, that's corny.
Yep. So I would definitely recommend it. It's a great Splatterhouse flick for those who like a bit of comedy in their horror, kind of like what the Play series turned into.
Fair enough. Okay, I'll give it a shot to watch. No promises tonight.
Fair enough. So that's really all we have to talk about. Feel free to go check out any of this stuff we mentioned. It's all like our opinions are our opinions alone. You're free to form your own.
Right, and at a later date, I can always leave a list of what we talked about in the description below. One of us can.
Yep. Remember to go to our channel page, and all of our individual channels are in the sidebar right there, on the featured channels list. Other side. Yep.
Sorry,
Also check us out on. It's weird, the mirror, but
yeah, go ahead.
Also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We'd be happy to hear, and remember to leave suggestions about topics for next week's discussion. Also, I want to talk about the suggestions for this week. Greatest and worst YouTubers and YouTube feuds. We're not going to touch stuff like that. We don't want to form opinions on other content creators. Talking about feuds starts feuds, gets you in on feuds. That is a cheap way to get attention. And we're not.
And besides, there's already a bunch of people feuding on YouTube, and I just don't feel like being a part of that.
Yeah, so we're trying to be. Well, we're trying our best to be decent YouTubers. So when you give us topics to talk about, keep that in mind, that we're not going to comment on other people's personal whatever.
That's their channel. That's their platform. If they want to sit there and do all that and threaten each other with doxing each other, then they can do so. But we're not going to be a part of that.
Now, if you wanted us to talk about YouTubers that we admire, I would be happy to talk about them.
Or YouTubers or even YouTubers that we're not in favor with. But it's not. But we're going to look at it from a constructive point of view, what they could do differently instead of we don't like this YouTuber.
Yep. So just keep that in mind, guys. When you're offering suggestions on the Twitter, and that's at @weekend_dojo, all lowercase. We are just Weekend Dojo over on Facebook. So give us a check us out, and we would love to see more interaction from you guys. Looks like today was a little bit dead in the live chat. That's okay, but
that's shocking to say the least. We at least have like somebody in here commenting.
Yeah, but it is getting to be about the middle of summer. Also,
it's vacation time.
I wanted to say this. Yeah, it's about vacation time. So people are typically not, de-stressing from a long week of school or work at this point.
Right. It's
especially since are strategically placing their earned vacation days alongside the given three. Sometimes companies give you like a 3-day break for 4th of July.
Yeah, you end up with like a 10-day vacation.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys.
It's been JT Games TV here with his captain.
And you got no badge of office. And we would just like to say, we'll see you later, Bugheads.
Peace out, guys.